Hi, my name is Gaynelle. Gaynelle. I'm not spelling anymore for you. I leave this to the professionals. People like Bonnie Leonce. She is a national treasure, and I tell her this often because evenings for the news, Parliament sessions, and most recently for our COVID updates, we have seen Bonnie doing signing as an interpreter for the deaf community. And she is our special guest in today's Pivot series as we look at the Pivot Pioneers. Bonnie, how are you?
I am fine. How are you?
I am wonderful. And I hope you can give your hands a good rest today. Mine are already nervous and tired. And I'm like, how does she continue to do this year in, year out, event in, event out? I think that people are just silently in awe of you.
Well, I have been doing this for so long now, and people usually think that it's my hands that get tired. It's my brain that gets tired.
Oh, just now to spell my own name, I'm like, did I even spell my name correctly? Well, were my hands working with my... It is nerve-wracking.
It is, and it really can be. And people need to understand that sign language is a language.
Yes.
And that's something that people, don't really take seriously. They think it's just something you do with your hands. But it is a language. It's just that it's visual. And it's a little more difficult because tilt or, how you place your head or how you move your body or your facial expression could change a sign when you put out your hands. So sometimes you have to look not only at your hands, but the whole package.
Yeah.
The whole package is important. So, and there are two languages in operation. So it's a lot of cognitive processing that's going on.
Full disclosure, I actually did her sign language course, Signature, which we are going to get into in just a bit. But trust me, we have a lot of show and a lot of ground to cover with the Bonnie Leonce. First of all, people want to know, how did you even get into sign language?
I was 6 years old.
Six.
That's just yesterday,
Yeah,
just
a couple years
yesterday,
back.
A few years ago. I was 6. And I, like every Barbadian school child, rushed home to see Sesame Street.
Oh,
that's what it was. Still is a big show.
Big
Still
deal.
Is a big show. And one day I saw this woman doing all sorts of stuff with her hands. And I was like so intrigued. What is she doing? And I realized that only Bob could understand what this woman was saying. And I'm in my 6-year-old brain, I'm trying to figure out hands. He's talking. She's not. She's just using her hand. What's going on? And I started coming home from school to see this woman who was doing stuff with her hands. Not that I lost interest, in Oscar or Grover or Telly, but, Linda, who I, found out her name was Linda.
Yeah.
She was the reason I started really watching Sesame Street after. And I would look forward to seeing her. And I came to understand that what she was doing was called sign language.
Yes.
And I thought, sign language. Okay. And then when I was 7, I started to learn, like most people, you learn at church. And that was where I went to learn. I did a beginner's, an intermediate, and an advanced course at my church. And yeah, that's how I got into sign language. That's how I got into it.
Wow. By the way, that's sign language. And you have to be really careful about how you do it too, because if you do it too high, it could be something else. It could be traffic for all you know. But positioning is everything.
Positioning is everything.
Now, interesting that you said, of course I did it at church, because for a lot of people that might have been, well, why would that be the assumption? But we know in Barbados, it's not taught in schools unless you go to the school for the deaf.
Correct. Which is now called the Irving Wilson School.
Yeah.
And, sign language really, in my opinion, should be not just taught as an extracurricular activity like how it's done in some primary schools. I believe it should be in some form or fashion on the school curriculum. Deaf people live among us.
Yes.
And I think it has so many moving parts to learning sign language because it deals with a marginalized community. Now we're in 2021, the world is inclusive. And you need to understand that literally no one can be left behind.
No.
And we all need to be as inclusive as possible. Sign language, I would like to become the norm, where somebody holding up their hands to sign, to do something, to communicate, is not just a, what's she doing? Or what's that?
Yeah.
It is, if you don't know sign language, then how do you not know? I want it to become like that. So I want sign language to be the norm.
Right. Normalizing it is what we call it now. Yes.
Normalizing sign language. That's what I want. Yeah. That's what I want.
And strange enough, because a lot of my deaf awareness is what I would call it, came through you in just learning sign language. Because I also thought that, it's always something I wanted to learn.
Right.
Here's this course being offered. I'm going to take it. And I never thought it would be a life-changing course. I just thought it would be something to add to my life acumen. Nothing major, until I recognized that no, this literally, just signing, could be the key between being able to communicate with an entire community.
Correct.
Or not. For an entire community to feel like they're included in something or not. And
correct.
I don't think I've run into many French people on island. But there I am with my CXE.
There you are.
There I am. Bonjour. Still waiting to use it. Still waiting to use it. But I run into deaf people almost on a weekly basis.
And that, for me, is why I said, there's so many moving parts to it. Because you have deaf people are among us. Now, we know you can't look and tell someone is deaf. We know that. But when we do realize we should be able to communicate, we want to see this inclusion at every level.
Right.
And as for someone who has done my class before, you know, for me, it's all about being an ally. So you look around and see what's missing.
Yeah.
You look around the room and you see, and you ask yourself questions.
Yeah.
Like, what is missing from this scenario? How can I improve life for someone else? What can I add? What can I do to add? To become more inclusive. And I always tell people, look around and see how you can play a part in including a part of our community that is so often marginalized. And, marginalized in so many different ways. We still have people walking around saying certain derogatory things when it comes to members of the deaf community. We have people who make monkey noises when it comes to members of the deaf community. They even make insulting signs and gestures towards members of the deaf community. And for me, that is ignorance at its highest. Willful ignorance, because we know there are people, they are human beings, and yet we have people walking around willfully ignorant, trying to insult a community that is trying their best to say, here I am.
I need to be seen.
I am here.
Right.
I am here. And I deserve to be here. And I deserve to be heard. I deserve to be heard.
Yes.
I deserve to be heard. And for me, that is where I see my little role as an interpreter. Because they can be heard through me. They can be seen through me. And that is very important to me. I don't see myself as the interpreter. I see myself as an ally to the deaf community.
A conduit, almost.
Correct. People always say, oh, you are Bonnie. All right. Yes, I am. But for me, I am doing a service, more than not just a job, but a service, making sure that they are heard and that I am part of that solution.
And we're going to get into that solution. Bonnie, I call you the crusader, really, for the deaf community. And you brought up a point that makes not only sense, but it should be making the dollars that go with it. There is an actual problem for which a solution has been found. And in our day-to-day lives, we get paid for finding solutions. What is it about the service that you provide that makes it difficult for people to understand why it needs to be a properly paid solution?
Because people don't see the deaf community. They don't see them. So I am there doing this thing with my hands, as some people wonderfully said, just doing this thing with my hands. But for me, when you don't recognize me doing this, you don't recognize the deaf community. And they do go hand in hand. People just see them as a group of people who are just there, just whatever.
Almost inanimate objects.
Yes, you know, little education. What job they could really get? You know, what do they want? You know, why is she on TV doing that? You know, those are the kind of questions that people, but for me, when you make those statements, it says a lot to me about how you view that community. Having little worth, we may not want to say it, but that's what it comes down to. You don't see them as having worth and getting into, we're in 2021, or hearing privilege. You know, they can't hear, so.
Our hearing privilege.
Our hearing privilege.
Yes.
Our hearing privilege. You know, they're deaf, all right? So they can't hear nothing. So music is irrelevant. Speech is irrelevant. They're just there.
Right.
No, they're there. Some of my professors have been deaf people with their PhDs, deaf doctors, deaf lawyers, deaf everything. There's nothing wrong with the deaf mind. Nothing is wrong with the deaf mind. So when I hear people making ignorant comments, for me, another part of my job is to let people know, but no. Once there are things put in place for members of the deaf community to learn and to be taught properly, and to access quality education, the sky is the limit. The sky is the limit.
You spoke a mouthful there, because there seems to be a huge disconnect between what could happen and what perhaps we see as happening, simply because things have not been put in place. So if we look at the education system,
right,
how is that designed, and who is responsible for designing it? Because if it is people who are using their hearing privilege to determine what a deaf person needs, isn't that part and parcel of the problem?
I believe it is. And, you know, I have been in this profession this is now 26 years. And I have seen people make decisions for deaf people and we're speaking about deafness, so let me just stick with deafness. Making decisions for deaf people without the deaf voice being present. So we need the deaf voice. We need that deaf presence. So saying, okay, I know what they need. I believe I know what they need. So let me just tick all these boxes. So deaf people need this, this, this. But do they? What do they really need? Have you asked them? Again, for hearing privilege, we think we know. And, we equate our intelligence, being hearing people. We are better than. What could they possibly, they don't know what they want. So let me tell them what they need and what they should want. This is what they don't know.
They don't know.
I don't know.
Right.
I know. And we need that deaf voice to be present in decision making, even as far as education goes. We have a big, not big compared obviously to the US and whatever, but we have a lot of adult deaf out here in Barbados. And value, so much value they have, so much information they have about what they want to see, what they want to learn, how they think things can be set in place for them to acquire, a higher education.
Right.
But who's listening? Who's listening?
True.
Who's listening? And again, what do we value what they have to say? And whose attention do they need to get for things to change in Barbados?
Let's get to the nitty-gritty. What are some of the biggest misconceptions about what deaf people can and cannot do?
People think that, number one, that they are language deficient. So again, we talked about hearing privilege, but we're not English speakers. We are very arrogant because English.
It is the language of money.
Yeah,
if you don't know English, you don't know anything. Right.
So people, and this is what I want people to understand, and you would know this, when you see a deaf person's writing, it will not be standard English. And the simple explanation for that is that there are two languages in operation.
Right.
And we need to understand that sign language is one language, English is another.
Right.
And you need to understand that there are two in operation. And when you think about it, they're really being a lot smarter than we are, because they are writing English, even if it's not in the standard form, and trying to get us to understand. And what do we do on the flip side? We see them and we're like,
I understand this.
Right.
Yeah.
But they're the ones trying to make us understand.
Much the way we had to do, remember conjugation from school?
Yes.
We had to take a French paragraph and conjugate it. It's the same principle.
And we need to understand that it's not that they're ignorant. They haven't been taught that English language, as a language, because sign language is their first language. And that is where we run into problems, because we think, oh, well, they live in Barbados, we speak English, they should know how to write English. No, they have to be taught
So
English.
do we actually, because I have to read a lot of things during the day. And I'm just like, okay, so I'm supposed to get through this too and be okay with it.
Right, correct. So it has been a struggle for the community to get people to understand, look, I can do anything I want once given the opportunity.
Right.
There's a popular saying that people can do anything except here. That they can do anything except here. So they can be anything they want to be. The list is vast.
Let's throw out a couple things. Driving.
That people drive.
Riding a bicycle.
Deaf people ride bicycles.
Dance.
Deaf people are phenomenal dancers.
Can go to law school.
I know deaf lawyers.
Perform heart surgery.
I know I know of deaf doctors.
Could possibly remove one of my wisdom teeth that are annoying.
Deaf dentists.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Could do my hair.
Hairstyle. We have a few here, actually.
Okay, thank you.
Have a few
Can
here.
apply my eyelashes.
Correct. That too.
Okay, fantastic. Could do my nails.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Can cook.
Chefs, deaf chefs.
Yeah, chefs. Yeah, I think I know one or two.
Deaf
Okay,
chefs.
great. Sure. Construction.
I know a few here.
Yeah, a chandler perhaps that can pour candles and make soaps and
Anything.
Well, yeah. Okay, so that pretty
Anything.
much covers everything I do
Yep.
in my life, or that I need to have done for me in my life.
Correct.
Deaf people can do.
Can do.
Okay.
Can do. And we need to understand that it is just about finding a way for them to be educated.
Mhm.
And by this, I mean, for example, I'm an interpreter.
Right.
Bring me into any scenario. Once you're willing to teach, a deaf person is there, I interpret, let's go.
Okay. And this
Let's
is the
go.
sign for interpret as well?
No, this is sign
This
for
is sign
interpret.
for interpret.
Yes.
Because this is
This is sign as
signing.
well.
So I wanted to make the distinction because some people look at you and say, oh, the signer. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure she's not a signer as opposed to an interpreter.
I'm an interpreter.
What is the fundamental difference?
You could be you're a signer because you sign. You can sign. You know sign.
Some things.
She can sign some things. She can sign some things. But my profession
Right.
is called an interpreter.
Correct.
I'm not a translator either. Let me just make that
Big
difference.
difference.
They're right.
Right.
Translators are right.
Uh-huh.
Interpreters, they either sign or they speak.
Right.
But you usually find translators
Just
writing.
right. Whereas you're interpreting.
Yeah, my interpreting is done like this, or orally if I have to voice interpret.
Got it.
Yes.
We spoke a lot about education, but recently you also went about furthering your education. And I
Right.
know the first thing that's going to hit somebody's head is, well, I thought she already knew sign language. What was she doing?
I think probably question would probably be, wait, she went to school to learn that?
Okay, so maybe
Well,
I jumped the
maybe we should start
question.
that.
Maybe I jumped the question.
Maybe
You're
you jumped
right.
the question a bit.
So you went to school
Yes.
to study what specifically?
Okay, so I got my associate degree in interpreter training.
Mm-hmm.
I got my Bachelor's of Science degree in ASL, English Interpreting. So ASL is American Sign Language.
Correct, yeah.
And I am currently pursuing my Master's. I should have that soon. My Master's in Interpreting as
Higher
well.
education in interpreting?
Higher education in interpreting. And I've done deaf-blind interpreting. I've done research in interpreting. A whole set of things I've done with interpreting. And so I just want to be the best interpreter for that community. For me, it's useless for me just to be sitting and saying, well, I know everything already. There's always more to learn. There's always more to know. We never know everything. We never know it all. And just like any language, it evolves. We know that we keep getting words, whether we like it or not, added to the dictionary.
Every year.
Every single year, twerk,
Yes.
whatever.
It happens.
But language evolves. Sign
Right.
language is the same. And so I remember when I did my associate degree when I was 18 years old. And let me first say that I thought sign language was just for church. You just go on the platform.
Well,
and
within the context, yes.
yeah, it was just for church. You just go and you do what the pastor, you interpret what the pastor is saying. But a profession, I did not understand that until I got a scholarship and I went overseas. And it blew my mind. I could not believe that this was a profession. And here I am in a classroom with deaf people as well. And an interpreter is right there. And they're learning certain things that I am learning, certain electives that I I am in, and they're there right next to me learning.
It just doesn't happen.
And I am thinking, what? Nobody told me this.
Yeah.
I didn't know this. So then, years later, I got my bachelor's degree, and that was very intense. I had a deaf professor, 2 deaf professors actually, and they are very, the instruction with interpreting was very grueling at times. I would be in the US, and let me say this was in the US.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to go on a regular basis, and let's say I'm there for the weekend, and it is full hands up, as we call it. So voices off.
I like this. Voices off, full hands up.
Full hands up, voices off. And so like how you would go to a class and you just tired.
Yes.
So you shut your eyes a little bit.
Well, not now.
To get a little shut eye. Or, you could put your head on your desk, or you could still hear.
Yeah.
So we can't do that.
Blink, you miss it.
Blink, you miss it. And we are staring. We're in a class for 8 hours.
Wow.
Just looking with intense concentration. And it was really rough. And so now I'm doing the master's because I'm a glutton for punishment. I'm doing the master's now. But it is intense. But so worth it. So worth it. So worth it. I am a guest in the deaf community. I call myself a guest in the deaf community. What I do for them because I am a part of that solution. I'm a part of that solution. You need the conduit. Information passes through me. I get that information. They want to say something. It goes in the opposite direction. They sign, I voice. I want to be the best interpreter that I can be. And people say, so are you the best interpreter? I said, I'm the best interpreter that I can be. I am the best interpreter I can be. And I want to keep that. And I think we sometimes think that, you learn something, or you know it for life. No, you need to keep improving.
Mm-hmm.
You need to keep improving. So that's what I'm doing. Improving to serve that community, serve my community.
Wow.
At Terrific Tiles, we totally understand all of our customers' needs.
Whether you decided you're redoing your bathroom
or looking to tile your entire home,
our service is guaranteed to give dream results.
My favorite color. I found it cute. I think like the oldish pink. I love that. And blue.
I often refer to the COVID pandemic as the awful equalizer. In the same way, however, it has managed to teach us a lot about ourselves, each other, how we have coexisted up until this point, and basically how we saw the world. What has COVID taught you about how we operate, how we function, and more specifically, how it has impacted the deaf community?
A couple things. First of all, pre-COVID, working from home, doing things online was, people thought, no, you have to be in an office. If you want to work, you have to go in an office. Persons with disabilities would hear that often. Oh, but so you can't. So I'm expanding it now, not only deafness.
Yes.
So, you are a wheelchair user.
You can't climb stairs.
You can't come in the office.
Right.
Sorry. You're blind. You can't function. You're deaf. Communication barrier. Whole set of things they would list off. Now, we are all at home. So what was it really? Was it that you couldn't work from home, or you just didn't want to hire anybody that, thought would pose a problem? But now we're all home. We don't know who's behind that computer screen. When you get an email, you don't know is someone that's deaf sending me this email. You don't know, because you can't see. We're all working from home. We're all online. And as you know, people aren't turned on their cameras.
Yeah.
You can't see, you don't know. And for me, it has just shown who we are, more so, not giving people opportunities. We just didn't want to give people up. And so that's how it is for me. You didn't want to give people opportunities.
As we spoke about earlier, willful ignorance.
Willful ignorance. You didn't want to give people opportunities. But here but now, the world is functioning online. One of the issues the deaf community has encountered, though, is the whole aspect of mask wearing. So that's been an issue. We are all in masks, and so they would have depended, if you don't know sign language, or the majority don't know sign language, they depend on lip reading or mouthing so that you can understand. So now we have
Let's put
masks.
a pin there, because you just hit something that I think even would have shocked a number of other people. The number of people in the deaf community who don't know sign language.
There are some who don't know. They're in the minority.
Okay.
However, when a deaf person is communicating, they know you don't know sign language, so they try to accommodate you.
They accommodate you. That's what they do. Yes.
They accommodate you. So out of balance.
Yeah.
They accommodate us. So now we have masks, and so to even though there's screens, for them to pull down their mask, say, and even if they say, they can't hear. There are some people who just don't care. Now, we do have cell phones, and sometimes they would, pull out their phones. But the point is, we just gotta care a little bit more. Care a little bit more about this section of the community, because they're struggling. Because really and truly, a lot of them depended on you understanding them through their exaggerated lip movements.
Right.
And now they can't do that. So COVID has shown a lot of things. Sometimes it has shown some people who just don't care, who are not willing to even step back a bit. Even though you're behind the screen, step back a bit and say, what do you want?
Yeah.
Not even willing to do that. So it's been a struggle for them. So really now they have to have their phones on them and literally type in everything and
show you
at a distance,
right?
Because you still can't get too close. So it has been difficult.
But once again, the community makes the pivot because they're so used to being marginalized. They're so used to being the other, and they're so used to accommodating.
Correct.
That they're the ones to make the move so that we can all be comfortable.
We can be comfortable. Because we need to be comfortable.
Right.
We need to be comfortable.
Our hearing privilege. I'm not going to forget that anytime soon.
Our hearing privilege.
I need to go back to the levels of education that you have invested in so you can be the best interpreter possible. Admirable, no doubt. But the reality is that education in any sphere is a cost. There's a real cost to it, to you, to your family. You're the mother of three.
Three.
You are an adoring, loving wife, and you know everybody needs a bit of Bonnie time, yet you also have professional pursuits. How can we monetize? Because I feel like we only take things seriously when they can be monetized and we can see where the return and investment is going to be coming for this thing that Bonnie is doing. What are we missing out on opportunities-wise?
Inclusion. So we spoke about inclusion.
Yes.
When I travel, pre-COVID, I traveled a lot.
Right.
And you see that the disabled market is great.
Market.
Yes.
Yes.
Market.
There's
is
a
great.
word money people like to hear.
People like to hear
Market.
Market. That is great. So many opportunities. When people travel, so if someone uses a wheelchair and they're traveling, they don't use a wheelchair. They don't come on their own. Someone comes, accompanies them.
Yes.
Family members would accompany them. I think we are missing out on opportunities, even tourism-wise, for persons to come here, members of the disabled community, to come here and enjoy, just like anybody else.
Right.
We talk about ecotourism, we talk different kinds of tourism, but persons within the disabled community love to travel, and they rarely travel alone. And even if it's not family members, they bring along friends who support them. I know that's one area. As far as money again, and this profession that I'm in, people, as I say, don't take things seriously until they hear, the rustling of that cash.
Yeah.
They don't take it seriously. Now, I've had to fight my way for people to understand that this is my profession. This is not just something I do.
Right.
As a, I don't know, not
a
part-time,
hobby.
as a hobby.
Yeah.
As a hobby. I remember there were people, I would do a job. People would call me and say, wait, we gotta pay you?
I'm sorry?
Yes, you do.
Wait, somebody literally asked if they had to pay you?
Yeah, they will call and say, well, that's just something is due. Okay, all right, but when I come with my invoice though.
Yeah.
So because it's my profession,
yes.
I need to eat too. And people sometimes before were taken aback by the fact that an interpreter, actually even saying interpreter, was like making it formal. So I would say, I am a sign language interpreter. And they're like, oh, okay. So then we have that conversation. Then we have that conversation. Yes, I am a sign language interpreter by profession. This is how I make my living. This is how I eat. And some people, believe it or not, were shocked. They just think that it's something that I do on the side. No, I went to school. I cried for this.
You went often.
I went often. I cried for this.
Yeah.
I had sleepless nights for this. Interpreting is a profession, and even within the wider context internationally, interpreting is becoming even more so out there. And you see it now. COVID is showing you that we're having press conferences all over the world, and there's usually an interpreter present. It's brought visibility to the profession. In some instances, it's brought validity to the profession.
Yeah.
And people are beginning to understand, wait, so, I get it. I get it. Everybody needs to know the information.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we
Everybody
all need
needs to know the information. Yes.
We have directives. Can we go outside or not? Can we be in the
Yes.
supermarket or not? Is
Yes.
there a hurricane headed straight towards us or not? We
need
to
the
know.
information. The information. Here, I can do that.
Yes.
I can do that. It is a profession, and it's my profession. It's my profession.
Now, here's something that you have added to your acumen to make sure that people can not only have an appreciation, but start the process for themselves so that you can better equip yourself. And that is your signature interpretations program. There is a beginners, there's an intermediate, there is an advanced. I know it doesn't look that way when I get through all of them. But there is also something called practice. And if, like anything else, if you don't practice or find yourself in a situation where there's an opportunity to practice
use it,
and to use it, you will lose it. So every now and
Correct.
again, you have to go back and refresh yourself
Correct.
and make sure there is a place that people can do this as we speak.
Yes. So Signature Interpretations is a business that I started a few years ago.
Mhm.
And Signature has different parts, I should say, when it comes to interpreting. So part of that is teaching sign language classes. So there's that. And then, well, pre-COVID, I would go in and teach some organizations who would interface with members of the deaf community. And when you think about it, deaf people are everywhere.
Yeah.
So every organization should want to have their staff trained at the very least in the basics of sign language.
Yes.
And so Signature would go in to teach, and tailor it to the particular organization.
Correct.
So I would have done this within the tourism sector.
Yes.
Within the emergency management. Who should know how to sign better than persons that are dealing with risks every day.
An emergency,
so
an
ambulance,
Yeah.
police officers. So I would go in and I would have a basic training so you can manage yourself. And like I said, tailor it to the particular environment.
Right.
So Signature does that as well. Signature also interprets for deaf couples who come here to get married, and people don't know that. That people come here to get married, or people come here to get married. I remember a couple years ago, I did a wedding for a couple. They were very much hearing, but the groom's parents were both deaf. So I was their interpreter for the time they were here. I interpret for anything. Signature interpretations goes everywhere. And I am Signature Interpretation.
You are.
I am Signature Interpretation
You are.
for now, until, we build out.
Right.
I am Signature. Right now, so I will say that the beginner sign language course is now being offered by NTI.
Yes.
National Transformation Initiative. And the beginner sign language course is up on the website. And you can go, and it's free.
Your
And
excuses
it's free.
have been eliminated.
It's free.
nti.org.bb.
It is free. That beginner sign language course is free. So feel free to go and sign up.
Yeah.
And you will see myself, but not only myself, you'll see a member of the deaf community. And I think representation matters.
Yes.
Yes, while you see me prominently within the modules, you will also see a member of the deaf community,
right.
of the deaf community in there as well. And for those who have done my classes, you'll recognize him very much when you click and see him there in all his glory.
Yes.
So he is
Give him
there
his
as
glory
well.
now.
Lionel Smith.
Lionel!
He is very much in the modules as well. So I think this is a good opportunity for people to learn.
Yeah.
Again, now online. Here we get back to it again. See?
Here we are.
Validity. So it is not that we couldn't, we didn't.
Yeah.
We didn't. So here we are now. So NTI.
I can't wait. I need to brush up. Lionel, be patient with me. Very slow. Anyhow, we have more coming with Bonnie Leonce.
At Terrific Tiles, we totally understand all of our customers' needs.
Whether you decided you're redoing your bathroom
Or looking to tile your entire home.
Our service is guaranteed to give dream results.
My favorite color. I found it cute. I think like the oldish pink. I love that. And blue.
After signatures, I must admit, I felt a lot more empowered and less anxious, even though I know I'm going to have to do that course again. But for those who are actually seriously considering becoming a sign language interpreter, what would you impart on them as advice or just a good hearty recommendation?
You have to have the heart for it. That's the first thing. You have what we call deaf heart. You need deaf heart. Really, you need deaf heart. You really need to feel like this is what you want to do. I have some students who want to be interpreters. Actually, one who went to study something at BCC and then she left. Her dad spoke to me and said, she wants to be an interpreter. Now she's in Canada studying to be an interpreter. I feel actually very fussy about that. Yeah, and you know what I tell her? Please be better than I am. I want you to gain as much as possible. Be better than me. Be better than whoever. I mean, be the best you can be, but she was my sign language student.
Right.
I want her to be better than me. I want her to be a phenomenal interpreter. It is tough. Languages are not easy. A visual language is not easy. So you really need to have the heart for it. You really need to have the heart for it. I know, for example, sometimes I sit and I ask myself, what are you doing? Because there are those low points.
I can imagine.
There are those low points. This is a costly venture. And right now, in this climate, it takes up a lot of time. I am on the evening news every night. And then there are not only things that are on camera, but things that are off camera.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things that people don't know that I'm involved in. And this is interpreting wise, deaf community wise. Deaf people know my number very well. And so there are things that I would do, places that I would go, families. It's not just about them, it's all about families, their children, their parents. There's a lot that goes on in my life that's not in front of a camera. And sometimes it can get a lot. It can get a bit overwhelming sometimes because you're there and pulling there and everywhere. And I am very fortunate to have a great support team. I have a very, very good support team. I promised not to call names, so I won't call any names, but I have a great support team and people who are just as passionate as I am about seeing deaf advancement in not only Barbados, but the region. And for me, this is a we thing, not only a Bajan thing, but a regional thing where we want our deaf community to be all that they want to be, to have dreams. I have dreams, you know.
Right. We all have dreams.
They have dreams too.
Yeah.
And I want to be part of that solution. I want to say to authorities, I am here to be able to get your message across. We need inclusion at every level. We need the deaf community to be heard. We don't need to speak for them. They can speak for themselves. I'm here.
Right.
They have something to say. let me be part of that solution. I will help you hear what they have to say. I will help you literally hear what they have to say. And what you have to say back, let me be your voice.
Right.
So for me, that is the most important thing right now. I want to see change, not only in Barbados, but the region, where we see inclusion and equality at every level, And some people may think, oh, well, okay, if they want to do this little thing here. No, we need inclusion from the very top.
Right. Real inclusion.
Real inclusion from the very top. We need
We've had
that.
blind senators, though.
Correct. We need that. And here's the thing. People think that the disabled community only want to talk about things that are disabled related. Okay, so they have thoughts on everything, water, on light, and policies that are put in place.
Taxation structures.
Taxation structure. You know, they are part of us, and that's what I want people to understand. They're not different.
Mm-hmm.
It's about communication and access to communication. So they need to be included at every level. You know, deaf people don't only want to talk about deafness. They want to talk about policies. They want to talk about everything else. They want to talk about, you name it.
Yeah.
But they need that platform. They need that space to be able to do that. And those in authority need to be able to say, you know what? Let me give you that voice. And I will help that communication.
So in a word, where would you start?
I think we have started here in Barbados. I think, funny enough, COVID, it was a good place to start because it's brought visibility.
Yes.
It's brought visibility. Recently, we've had, the community has met to even get more information about the vaccine. They all came out in their numbers, safely and social distance.
Because why? They are informed.
They are informed.
They're informed.
They're informed. I think we have made steps.
Okay.
I think we've made some steps towards that. I think now the community, the onus is on the community to say, well, I need some clarity on this. I want to be included in this. And once they say that,
Right.
I am there
To make it happen.
to make it happen. So they're the ones pushing, not me. Not me. They're the ones pushing because they're the ones with something to say.
Right.
And they're the ones that are leading this. And if they aren't leading in certain things, they have to take the lead because it's not about me, it's about them. So once they lead, I'll be right alongside with them. Ready with my hands.
With your hands.
Ready.
Bonnie, there's no way that people could have listened to this episode today and not walk away from this episode the same way they walked in. There's just no way. But I would like you to leave us, if you would be so kind.
I know what's coming. I know what's coming.
Give us 5 usable, simple signs that we should all know, no matter what level of sign language we have had access to. What should we all be able to sign, no matter what? Hello.
Once you know.
Yeah.
Hi or hello. It's like a salute.
Right.
Hi. Thank you.
Thank
It can
you.
be done with one hand or 2 hands.
You're really thanking them.
Yeah. And you know this. So
Yes.
thank you. Thank you. Thank
Right.
you. So we thank you or thank you.
Okay.
Please. Maybe I'm trying to be as easy and,
Polite as possible.
easy.
Yeah.
Please. Please. And you have to touch.
You
Your
do.
chest.
I'm just trying not to touch the
We're
microphone.
trying not to touch our mics.
Right. But basically,
But
you touch your chest.
Please.
It's an earnest plea.
Please.
Yes.
Yes. And sorry. I'm sorry.
And your face helps.
And you have to use your facial expressions. You're correct. Sorry. But I want to do, how are you?
Yes.
How are you? I'm fine. And then we're done.
Okay.
So how are you? So you bring your hands over like this.
Mm-hmm.
How are you?
And you point to the person.
How are you? Fine.
And then fine.
Yes. So let's do those again.
Oh,
They're
sure.
more than 5. But
Yeah.
let's go. Hi.
Hi.
How are you? How are you? I'm fine.
I'm fine.
I'm fine. Thank you. Thank you. Or
Thank
you.
you.
Please. Remember to touch yourself.
Yes.
Please. And sorry.
sorry.
This handshake. Sorry.
Look at that. Y'all are on your way. So remember to sign up for Signature Interpretations. It's on the NTI website as we speak.
The beginner sign language
NTI,
course.
It's a beginner's course, but I'm telling you, you don't start these things and then not want to continue. You will want to continue. Bonnie is amazing. Lionel is amazing. You're going to get to meet Lionel. And I think that you will be transformed people. Access means everything. Visibility means everything. Being heard means everything, because if it means everything to us, it means everything to the deaf community. This has been, as I knew it would be, a most eye-opening and heart-opening conversation with you, Bonnie Leonce.
Thank you for having me. It was really great being here.
And thank you for being a part of the Pivot Series Season 2.
Shopping in the Sky is simply delicious at our mouth-watering brand new Sky Food Court. Our amazing spread includes Little Pleasures ice cream, coffee, and desserts. Authentic Asian cuisine at Waldy's Walk. Delectable Greek dining at Opa Express. A range of sumptuous Caribbean dishes at Tamarind of the Islands. And the very best of Bajan cuisine and pastries. Compliments Master Chef Peter Edie and his delightful pastry house and Peter Patties. Plus, we've got the world-renowned fast food giant Burger King. You cannot pass Haggett Hall and not join us for a quick delicious meal for breakfast, lunch, and dinner at our brand new food court only at Sky Mall, where when it comes to great fast food, there are no limits.